word. Now, let me just quickly say this again for people that may just be coming in right now. So please send your questions. But as you are sending the questions right now, I will not be able to read them. Not because I will not, but I wouldn't read them because I would like to take all the questions at the end. So please send any question that you may have. And like I said to people that came in earlier as well, we're covering only 4 things. Why do we need these changes, which I've just covered? And 2 is, what are these changes? What are these changes? Now, the changes, like I said, are into 3 parts. 1, the exam is changing. And this is where I want to pitch my tent today. It's all about the changes to the exam. Though I'm going to touch on the PMBOK and the rep thing, but my main focus is on the exam. So the exam is changing, PMBOK is changing, and the rep had already changed to ATP. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit about those changes. So 3 things are changing: exam, PMBOK, and rep. Let's start with the exam. So what exactly is changing in the exam? Number 1, like I said, the entire exam is based on the ECO. That's the exam content outline. The exam that expired, let me use the word expired, the exam that expired in December 31st, 2020, was based on this particular ECO. That's the exam content outline. And the one that we have from January the 2nd, that's from January the 2nd, is this one that I have on the board. Yes, sorry, let me just fix my pen. Yes, that's the one that I have on the board here. So for you to actually pass the exam, you need to understand the content that will be tested. And all of these contents, right, they are more, the PMBOK does not cover all the content, though the PMBOK covers some part of the content, but not all. And so from day one, from as far back as many years, I cannot really remember, PMP exam had not always only be based on the PMBOK. Now, what do we have in ECO? Now, the old one, this is the 2015 version, and this is the 2020 version, okay? So for the 2015 version, the exam is based on 5 domains. And for people that had attended our PMP course in Arabica, we've always taken all our courses based on these, based on initiating. So we talk about that's the pre-project, the initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. So we've always based all our discussion on the process and what should be done within, or what can be done within the process based on the situation or the environment where you find yourself. Now, in 2020 exam content outline, these are changed to these. So instead of having or making, arranging the way they expect you to understand project management from initiative to planning step by step, now they've made it based on people, process, and business environment. So what we used to call these is just that's the process. But does that mean that we've not been taking care of people in the past? Absolutely. We've always talked about people. Everything under people right now, we've talked about them, except for some few concepts that are coming from agile, like servant leadership. So things like that, yes, probably we may not have gone very deep into them, right? And have we always covered business environment? Absolutely. For instance, in our Arabica PMP courses, we've always covered that as part of strategy. So when we start our course, we start with the strategy. To really understand the environment where you find yourself as a project manager, because you cannot manage a project if you do not understand the environment. So you must know your company in terms of vision, mission, values, strategy, and all manner of other things like the PMO and how strategy is actually developed and implemented within your organization and many other aspects. So all of these, they're not new. So they are part of what we already teach. And that's why, just to give you a little hint, that the PMBOK for the exam for 2020 is still based on the current PMBOK. It's not based on the new one. And I'm going to be talking about, about that. So generally, whatever we have here is kind of rearrangement of the, of the content, just to bring reminder to people about this. So this is not new. This has been there forever. For a long time now, that we call, this we call a PMI triangle or project manager's triangle, that for you to be a great project manager, it's not just about this is what we call, the technical project management covers all of this: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. And while you're doing that, you're going to need quite a bit of knowledge areas to cover that. And we call that technical project management. But knowing that is not enough. In fact, that actually contributes less than 20% to your success as a project manager. But you being able to lead a team, being able to motivate and inspire people and work within the organization at all levels, working with the strategic guys, working with the middle guys like the head-offs, and working with the people at the bottom, working across the organization and leading a team even without having formal power. Because if all project managers do have formal power, life will be so easy that you just command people, command and control. Guys, sit down there, and people sit down. People stand up and they stand up. Oh, project managers will like that. But many project managers do not have such formal power, or what we call positional power. They don't, and we don't. In most cases. So how do we then get you to be able to lead a team of people that you do not have any formal control or formal power on? And all of this will require some level of servant leadership. And are these new? No, we've always talked about them. And you as a project manager as well, you should be able to understand business acumen, financial acumen, and know how to make decisions in the interest of the organization. Because I see a lot of project managers, like I normally say in my classes, that they are just the yeser guys or alpha guy, alpha. That's what they do around, and they call themselves project managers. They are not, because they don't really understand so much about business. It's all about, oh, they said I should do it, then I'm going to do it. You see, so a typical project manager must have competencies around technical project management, leadership, and strategy and business management. So let me go back to that slide. That's what we're talking about here. So what we call people is the leadership part, what we call process is the technical part, and the business environment is the business and strategic part. So there's nothing new, guys. So it's not like, oh, project management is changing. Project management is not changing. Project management is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It's all about getting things done. So nothing is changing. Though the reality may change, though the environment may change, though the size or the factors within a particular project may affect the outcome, but the key thing is project management is the same. You see, so getting success out of project absolutely will require anybody managing it to be fully aware about how to lead people, how to take things step by step and get things done, and within a business environment. Okay, and these are the percentages or the weightings of the questions coming in the exam. Around this. Now, what then brings a little bit of complexity? What then brings a little bit of complexity to this entire discussion is the fact that half of the exam will represent predictive approaches, and half of the exam will represent agile or hybrid. So some people have taken the exam. I've asked some people that have taken the exam last week. They said even the agile questions are more. They are more than the predictive, though I do not know, but from the ones I've spoken with, they confirmed to me that there were so many agile questions in the exam. So most of the questions that you may have been dealing with, most of them are gone. And before, most of the questions were just on processes, on techniques, on this, on that. But now, in fact, one of them that confirmed to me yesterday mentioned that there was no calculation. Before we used to cram a lot of formula. Remember that. Remember this. No. In fact, he confirmed to me yesterday, no calculation at all in the exam. So many of the things that we used to take serious, many of them are gone. So many situational questions, and they're painting a lot of picture about what would you do in agile environment? What would you do if this project is using iterative or adaptive or incremental approach? So you must know how to tailor whatever we're doing within initiating, planning, executing to agile environment. So that means you've got to understand agile in and out in detail, not just introduction now, in detail. Because most of the digital transformation that are happening around the world, they are really around agile space. And so you're going to be managing people, managing process within those environments. So you've got to understand that. So the exam is pretty much agile and waterfall, but a lot of questions will be coming around agile, which was not the case in the past. And like I said, please keep sending your questions, and I will take the questions at the end of my presentation. Okay, then I added this here. This is IPMA, and PMI aligns. PMI aligns with IPMA. That's IPMA. IPMA is International Project Management Association, which is the highest level of project management in the world. So PMI aligns with that. And whatever we're talking about here, as per the exam as well, aligns with what IPMA is saying about project managers. That for you to be a great project manager, you must understand, you must have some contextual competencies, which we call business environment. And you must have the technical competency, which we call the process or technical project management. And you must have the behavioral one, which we call leadership. So there are many competencies that you need to be aware of and that you need to be great at for you to be able to deliver success in a project. So in summary, right, I cannot see so much changing. So, though you have to then understand some things more, but whatever we're talking about here, it's not really big changes, but what is happening is, yes, some changes are coming, but they're not new. Now, generally, we cover project management like this, simple, right? From initiating to planning to implementing to closing, and then implementation means executing and monitoring and control. So many people, based on the way the ECO structure used to be. Sorry, let me come back to this ECO structure here. Based on the way it used to be, people used to just take it this simple. Like, you just, after initiating, you go to planning, after planning, you go to executing, then you go to monitoring and controlling, and then you close. So people kind of take it too easily. And we normally tell them, even in our classes in Arabica, that it's not this simple. It's not at all. This is the reality. And we've always taught this, that the reality is that there's so much overlap. So initiating, planning, monitoring and controlling, executing, they are all happening at the same time. So for people to then believe that, oh, it's so simple, this all initiating, planning, whatever, no way. So because people misunderstood that, and because of the quality of trainers, because of the quality of instructors around the world who do not really understand what they're saying, and confusing people and making people to have a wrong understanding of the concept, that's why PMI had just removed that. Let's not confuse people, because people are going around telling people what is not true in reality. But whatever is happening right now, it's not a change, it's the reality, normal life, right? But it's just because of wrong instructors, very horrible ones, who do not really understand what they're doing. And that's why PMI is saying that for people to be able to teach PMP, that you can trust, that you can put some level of trust in, or that you can have confidence in, then, sorry, you cannot raise hand, I cannot take questions, you must send your questions in the chat, and I will answer all the questions at the end. So sorry, I do not take questions. All right, so now, I do not allow people to talk for this session because it's only 1 hour. All right, so because of these kind of situations that normally, that had been going on, and now we've just removed, PMI, I just removed those. And so that means when you then start a project, it's your job to then understand at the beginning, how much of initiating work do you have to do? How much of the executing work do you have to do? Because sometimes you find yourself in an agile environment where you have to even do a pilot, proof of concept at the beginning. So you're executing from the beginning, even before you can even plan the entire project. You see, so it's not as simple as people may feel or may think. It depends on the situation where you find yourself that will determine whether how much is about the how much of initiating, how much of planning, how much of executing and monitoring and control and even closing can happen from the beginning. So it's not as simple as people may make this look. So this is just to let you know that this is not new, and because we've always taught this in our classes to let people know that it's not as simple as it is. But when we start to teach people, we start by teaching people this. And this is just at CAPM level. For people who are just at foundation level, they just want to understand the foundation of project management. They're not really managing project yet. Yes, we take it small, slow, initiating, planning. Yes, we know that. But if you're really managing stuff, real stuff, absolutely, it's a different ball game. Next. Then the new ECO as well, still in the ECO. The new ECO, this is where, this is how it used to be, 2015, and this is 2020. Now, that's 2020, 2015. Now, in 2015, we just have the initiating, planning, and so on and so forth, and the task that they expect a typical project manager to be able to perform within those project process phase or phases, each of them. Now, in the new one, we then only have 3 people, process, and business environment. Now, for the people, this is just an example, so you can go on PMI website and download the examination content. If you download the examination content, you're only going to find 3 domains. That's the people, process, and the business environment. So picking the people one, you're going to have this domain, that's the people domain, and you're going to have task. And within the task, they talk about some enablers, some of the things that you need to know or that you need to be aware of, right, as a project manager. In managing people, for instance, in managing people, you must be able to manage conflict, because if people will always behave themselves, life will be so easy, so simple. Even looking at what is happening around the world over the last 3 days, if people can just behave themselves, we're not gonna have trouble. We're not gonna have wars around the world. But now we have conflicts, we have war around, within our teams and within countries. So you must be able to manage conflict as a leader. You must be able to lead a team. You must be able to support team performance, and you must be able to empower team. So quite a number of things that they expect you to be able to do as tasks. You must be able to do them. And some of the enablers, some things that will enable you to do them well, some of the things that you need to know. So in the new syllabus, it's not just tasks and just generic stuff. They give indications of some enablers that can help a project manager to be great at performing any of those tasks within the domains. Now, for the domain task and enabler that I've just talked about, please look at the complexity here. Please just watch this. Now look at these enablers. Look at the enablers. That's where the work is. It says, the enablers are the illustrative examples of work associated with the task. Work associated with the task. Please note that the enablers are not meant to be exhaustive list, but rather offers few. Look at that, few examples to help demonstrate what that task encompasses. So that means that even if you look at the ECO, is still like high level. For me, sorry, I forgot to tell you when I started, I like to use the word nonsense, right? So it's like high level. So the exam high level nonsense, right? Like the exam can go further than that. So the list is not exhaustive at all. Then we can put a little bit of pressure on you to then find out what are the other parts that they've not included in the ECO. Though the domains are clear, the tasks are clear, but the enablers are not. So this is where the entire complexity is, because there are many, many frameworks, there are many models, there are many techniques, there are many tools around the world that can help those things. So PMI cannot list all the tools, all the techniques, all the models, all the frameworks, all the techniques, that can help you in performing those tasks. So it's only few. They only give an indication of these are the things that you got to be aware of for now. But it's not exhaustive, and that's where the problem is. Okay, but I'm going to be talking about that later on.